on anything. I wouldn't trade Shohei Ohtani for any player in baseball. That is quite the limb to go out on. But for a guy that I think everyone refers to as the greatest player to ever play this sport, to have that be your expectation, to have that sort of, hey, I'm paying a ticket to go to a big league ball game to see the greatest player. Like if you had a friend at your office and they didn't care about baseball or watch baseball, and you were like, you know what, Shohei Ohtani's on the bump tomorrow night. I'm gonna bring you to the field, and I want you to just see it in person. You have a one-shot chance of impressing this person. It's like, that's the guy that I want to impress you with. How often, when you buy a ticket to not see the Dodgers, but to see Shohei Ohtani, do you go there and are left unimpressed? Like last night, 5 scoreless innings, and he homered.
Lead off homer. Yeah.
Like, what other person, Dallas, could you go to your friend who doesn't like, respect, care, or is not interested in baseball? Could you be like, I'm bringing you to the yard tonight. You're going to see something you've never seen before, and this is the freak show that I'm going to show you. How often do you go there and the person leaves unimpressed by what he does?
It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. I think in the context of what I have been lauding about this dude since he showed up is the pitcher-hitter combination and the fact that baseball just doesn't have that.
I've blown this guy's horn since he
showed
up.
Since he showed up, I've blown the horn, and I will continue to blow the horn. That's why if you're going to, because think about it, I can get you to a ball game, and if you think about the 90s, the early 2000s, I could have taken you to a Cubs St. Louis Cardinals game and told you, hey, what you might see today, and if this is 1998, what you might see today is something you may never see again, which is Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire duking it out. I could have taken you to a Giants game and put you front row to watch Barry Bonds do what he did. I could have taken you to an A's game and you could have watched Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson. You could have watched any one of them. I could have taken you to a series for the Athletics and you could have watched Hudson, Mulder, and Zito slice and dice in 3 days. But you're still not walking away in awe the way you walk away when you watch a guy who goes out and has the capability of throwing 100 miles an hour and hitting homers in the same game. That's a completely different vibe. To fast forward to today, I could take you to a Brewers game on the day that Miz starts and go, hey, you're about to see nothing but like 102 mile an hour fastballs, like the whole game from this dude. Are you ready for that? Like, there's nowhere else I could take you where you're going to see that. From there, it's just lesser versions of dominant pitching performances that aren't guaranteed to happen. And there's days where guys like Aaron Judge go 0 for 4 and punch out 4 times. And you're just not going to get what I'm selling you. But when Ohtani is playing baseball, you have the opportunity to see what you saw last night. There's no one on earth that walks away from watching a guy go 5, 6, 7 shutout innings and then 2 for 3 at the plate with damage. That's why you automatically go back to the last time the baseball world saw anything like this, and you have to go all the way back to Babe Ruth, because that was the last time there was ever anything remotely close to this, and we have already put to bed the comparisons of the two. They're not even in the same universe at this point, simply because of the longevity of Ohtani's performances on the mound. So as far as being impressed or being excited about what you're going to see every 5th day with this dude, if he's in the lineup and on the mound, there's a possibility that you will see something that you've never seen before. And he continues to set those bars every time he takes the mound and swings the bat in the same game.
I know the people.
Incredible.
What? Go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just going to say it's just incredible because yesterday, like, when we were talking about Ohtani briefly, we were just saying, Dallas asked, how's he going to follow up
suck that, Jay. Suck it.
Well, and how was he going to follow up Miz's outing and his own performance last time? And 5 scoreless is obviously very impressive, not quite as impressive as what we saw from Mizorowski strictly on the mound. But then, of course, it's just the Ohtani factor where he's thrown in a fucking homer and getting on base multiple times as well. And it just makes the it makes the Cy Young and the MVP conversation just so fascinating and a little bit convoluted and complicated in a way that I don't necessarily know that it's been before, because he may not end up as the best pitcher, but he may be like 95% of the other pitcher plus all this other stuff. Will that help him more with the MVP? I don't know. It's just, that he always comes up with a way to answer is just not tiring at all.
And is it crazy that he could possibly be taking votes away from himself in both regards? Is my brain probably, but just like mixing signals and wires and thinking to myself, like, man, we know how for a long time the Gold Glove was purely based on what you were doing offensively. Are you the best offensive player at this position? Cool, here you go, Gold Glove. But now, if he's not going to have the body of work, which is a viable argument against the Cy Young candidacy, I can understand that. And if that is the case, does that then take away from the MVP conversation, because people are looking at him and expecting him to be the dual performer that he is, but because it might not be a Cy Young performance on the mound, they don't think he's as valuable of an MVP candidate, even with what he's starting to do offensively again? Because if he continues to ramp it up offensively and things just continue to tick up, obviously we know how bad this dude is. But it's just, I almost think to myself, because of the Ohtani fatigue that is set in, that people could very well start to hold a lack of performance in one area or the other, even though both being phenomenal, against him.
Well, it's also one of those things, I think, with Ohtani now, and he's made it clear, like, the Cy Young is the next thing I want to chase. Well, if you're going to chase this and they're going to kind of handle you the way you need to, right now, doing it where he has this ridiculous ERA, and before last night's start, he didn't qualify. After last night's start, he didn't qualify. You are going to have to do something differently here, where whether it's on a per rate basis or an ERA that stands so low below everyone else's, despite not having that body of work, that they're willing to look at you a little differently. Because when you have someone like Christopher Sanchez, who 2 more starts, 17 more innings, and he's going to start on Friday, that gap's just going to get bigger and bigger over that due time. I do think it was pretty interesting that the first time in a month where he pitched and he actually stuck in the lineup and did both at the same time, they're changing their philosophy. Instead of kind of separating and giving him these breaks, well, now it's going to be the day after, where they realize, oh, it's not really just pitching and he can't hit that day that's going to start to complicate things or maybe make him tire more. Now it's like, okay, we'll put him in those spots, but the following day, we shut him down. They're still reinventing ways to properly handle him and properly treat him. And I think that's why with Ohtani, is incredible as what he's doing on the field, how the organization kind of cradles him and handles him this year is going to be as big of a question or talking point as it all.
So do you guys remember, I mean, obviously I know that you do, but I think it's an interesting wedge into this conversation, is when he wrote that list of things that he wanted to accomplish in high school. Want to take a guess at what age he wanted to win the Cy Young Award?
30.
22. So here's a guy who is telling you he's 10 years behind that goal. I think he turns 32 in July. A lot of the stuff he did succeed in doing. Member of the Japan WBC team. He wanted to do that by age 23. I think he did that and then some, like MVP in the tournament. I feel like he should have set the bar higher. Age 24, throw a no-hitter in 25 wins. He hasn't thrown a no-hitter yet. Throw the fastest pitch in the world. He wants to throw 108 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's a box that won't be checked.
Age 26, he wanted to win the World Series and get married. He did those things. Member of Japan WBC team and MVP. He wanted to do that by 27. He did do that. By 29, he wanted to throw his second no-hitter. So we're behind now. We're behind big time on no-hitters. Get the most, Jay, could you, I don't know if you can look this up. Get the most wins by a Japanese pitcher. Who has the most wins for a Japanese pitcher, and where's Shohei?
Is it Nomo?
Darvish?
It's Darvish. Yep, it is Darvish.
Yeah.
And prior to that, it was, but for MLB only, that includes his wins in Japan, though, for Darvish. If it's MLB only wins, it's Hideo Nomo. The list for MLB only is Nomo, Darvish, Kuroda, Tanaka.
How many?
123 is the number. If we're talking MLB only, which is what we're talking here.
He said, get the most wins by a Japanese pitcher, and then parentheses, in one MLB season. Does that mean he wants to win 100 games in a season? I don't know. Maybe he's saying all-time and single season. I think that would be a great goal to chase. By age 32, which he will turn 32 in a couple months, he wants to win a second World Series. He's already done that. By age 34, he wants to win his third World Series. So he's got some time. Like, he's on pace to do that, to win his third World Series by age 34. I'd say
right on time.
Yeah, like the lockout might be like, I'm going to give him until age 35 to win the third one if he doesn't do it because of the lockout. Break the strikeout record. I don't know if he's going to have time to do that.
He's also just not on a per rate basis anywhere.
Yeah. Those things are just not fathomable at this point.
Yeah. Age 38, stats drop, start to think about retirement. Age 39, decide to retire at the end of next season. Age 40, throw a no-hitter in my very last game. Age 41, return to Japan. He's fucking out of here. When he's done, he's like, see you the fuck later. You're welcome for all the years of excellence. I'm going home. But yeah, I mean, like, I think a no-hitter can happen on any day. I mean, some of the fucking worst pitchers of all time have gone out and done it. Perfect games even. So I think if you have, like, is there anything that Shohei said here besides the all-time strikeout record that is not attainable? I guess throw 108 miles an hour, but like, is there anything that he can't do that he set out to do when he was in high school?
Yeah, in terms of like the specific achievements, no. The counting stats, the counting records, to Tyler's point, yes. And it's just simply because of the usage and how that's panning out right now. Like, he's not sniffing 5,000 strikeouts plus. Like, that's just not going to happen on the mound. So no. But yeah, outside of everything else, that's why I said, like, aside from the Cy Young Award in terms of an award perspective, what else do you want this dude to do? There's nothing left for him to accomplish.
Can we go back to that Cy Young real fast before we move off of Ohtani? Because I like Tyler was saying he's going to have to do something remarkable on a rate basis to really get himself into that conversation, which is something I agree with and is of course true. But I am struck by, like, you know, he's, depending on what stat you want to emphasize, like, there is currently a pretty compelling argument that he's keeping pace with a lot of these guys. Like he is equal to basically Sale and Mizorowski in B WAR this season, and he's superior to Paul Skeens. So he's behind Sanchez, and in this case, he's actually behind Chase Burns as well. But like, he's essentially tied for third in B WAR among NL pitchers, and in F WAR, he's third on his own behind Sanchez and Mizorowski. So like, and this is while pitching 13 fewer innings than Chris Sale, 10 fewer innings than Chase Burns, which, you know, this will ebb and flow, but we are talking right now that, like, pretty much regardless of what Paul Skeens does in his next start, pretty much regardless of what Chase Burns does in his next start, or Chris Sale, Shohei Ohtani is going to be at or above those guys in F-WAR through this turn in the rotation. And those guys will have thrown 10 to 12 more innings than him. So, like, there is, you know, 0.73, that's obviously hard to keep up with. But, like, if Mason Miller is going to get significant Cy Young support or is going to dominate that conversation for weeks at a time, like, Ohtani's in a way going to be kind of like if his let's say his ERA on the season is like the Arrieta season or something like that, where it's like 1.5, and he's got a 3/4 of a run edge on some of these other guys. Like, it's going to be a pretty interesting conversation when you weigh what Miller does with 75 innings, what Ohtani might do with 150, and what Sanchez or Skeens might do with 180, 190.
So if Shohei Ohtani at this rate right now were to give you performances like you saw last night, I'm not telling you that the next 22 starts that he makes are all going to be shutout outings. It's not what I'm saying. But if he gives you just 5 innings over the next 22 starts, that has him at 159 total innings for the season. Okay, that's if he goes just 5. And there could be performances where he doesn't get through the 5th. There could be performances where he pitches into the 8th. So we understand that there's going to be some balance there that occurs. But let's just say in those remaining 22 starts that he might make, because he could make 20, could make 24. Who knows? And it's just 5 innings. Now we're talking about a viable body of work here that you have to respect, that you're going to have to respect. And I think at that point in time, that's where you really start to separate, or you really start to dive into how he's gone about the business in his body of work, right? That's where the importance comes into the domination. That's what's going to matter, because we all understand that the wins and loss, that's going to be out the window. But if this dude is talking about just a hair above a 1 or under a 1.5 when it comes to ERA, and the FIP is in line, and we understand that the traffic has been limited, we're talking a fucking 0.8 sub that maybe whip, and a K per 9 in the double digits, and well over a strikeout an inning. Like now you're going to have to really dive into what the other guys have done, and it feels like it's going to have to be exponentially better.
It's also going to be like when it comes to the Dodgers and what Ohtani wants. Obviously, this is a goal he wants to reach, something he's talked about and he's prepared for and he's built up all this stuff for. Well, when you're also on a Dodgers team that's trying to go win 3 in a row and trying to do some of these different things, how are you going to prioritize your own self goals versus what the team wants? Because right now, yeah, you are needed out there with the current state of the Dodgers rotation. Blake Snell, we got the loose bodies in the elbow. Tyler Glasnow, the back's barking. Eric Lauer is about to start for them on a somewhat regular basis. Once you actually get to July and August and it's, the body's barking, things don't feel right, how much are you prioritizing making sure you're fresh for that playoff run versus competing for an award where, 1 or 2 starts might be the difference in an entire convo for you. If you don't have the full body of work in terms of innings, if you end up missing 2 or 3 starts because that's what's needed for you to pitch an extra month of the year, that's a massive, massive part of all this. And I'm curious to see how he balances it, because it seems like he's always been a team first guy, but those are hard because you only have so much time to achieve some of these personal goals.
By the way, remember that MVP conversation we had a couple weeks ago on the pod where it was like, Olsen had the F4 lead, and it was like, what is he going to have to do to be able to maintain and keep off of Ohtani? Yeah. Ohtani's tied for first in major leagues in F4 right now with Bobby Witt, and has a pretty healthy lead, a 0.7 F4 lead over the next closest player in the NL. Like that pod was like 2 fucking weeks ago. And can anybody do anything about this? Probably not. And that's why I think Dallas is going to win the MVP award. I think that's more likely than him winning the Cy Young. Like, I think if they have to split the baby, there's going to be more compelling candidates for the Cy Young on the NL side than there is going to be going up against him for the MVP award. Because the Cy Young voters can be just looking at the pitching, right? Like and in the MVP, it's going to be like, well, fuck, this is kind of obvious at this point. We had fun debating it during the season at points, but Ohtani ended up, 2 wins above replacement ahead of the next closest guy in the NL fucking again.
Yeah, well, I had some asshole tweet me about how I said that Matt Olson and Shohei Ohtani weren't in the same neighborhood at the time. And you want to know what? That was true. That was true at that time. You know what happens in baseball, though, is you play games. You play games. You play out the games. You play a full season's worth of games. And things change once you play baseball games. Guys like, I don't know, Ohtani start to swing the bat a little better. Guys like Olson, who was on a different planet, start to come back down to earth during certain stretches. And I went through just what some of the basic statistics were and how they compared to each other, right? And I think at the time, Ohtani was still ahead of Ole in WAR, and that was the only statistic that he was leading him in this head-to-head categories. But I went through games, plate appearances, hits, homers, RBIs, stolen bases, average on base, slugging, OPS plus. As of right now, OPS plus. Matt Olson was at a 199 during that point. He's at 166 now. And Ohtani, who was at 130 at the time, is now up to 150. So the gap has closed considerably. But that's how baseball works. Is guys go on hot streaks, guys get cold, the gap between 2 performers closes, And I'll say that to say this, there's still just 3 categories that Ohtani is leading in, and it's B-WAR, 3.7 to Ole's 2.5, and it's stolen bases, the 6 that Ohtani has to the 1 that Matt Olson has, and it's on base percentage. Ohtani knocking on the door of 400 at 399, and Matt Olson at 361. Every other category that I mentioned, plate appearances, hits, homers, RBIs, batting average, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, Matt Olson still leads Ohtani in. So it's yes, the gap is closed, but Matt
the
Olson
last
still,
7 games, it's been freakish. 481, 588, 926, 1514 OPS, 2 homers, 4 doubles, 1 triple. That's a 309 WRC plus. It can happen that quickly, but you go back to why that hot streak started. In San Francisco, they sat him down for 2 days to get a breather and to get right. So as you balance these things, like, I think that is going to be such a massive thing to follow in these conversations. The MVP, if he's just Shohei Ohtani and who Shohei Ohtani has been, where get on the mound and you're going to get a way bigger workload than we had seen the last couple of years, boom, we know what it's going to be offensively. Anyone that ever doubted there was going to be a real regression on that front, even the expected stats kind of told you what the reality was on a lot of those things.
What'd you say the last 7 games for Ohtani?
It's a 15-14 OPS. Like, great players, they're going to get hot and they're going to have that streak. That's
and on
just
the flip
what it
side,
was.
and on the flip, put it like this: that's 1,000 points higher than what Matt Olson has done over his last 7 games. So when you want to talk about how crazy it is to think that just 2 weeks ago the conversation that I was having was accurate, do you understand that that's how quick, like you just said, things can go? For Matt Olson over the last 7 games, hitting 192 with a 276 on base, slugging 231. That gives you a 507 OPS. 507. Nary a long ball for Matt Olson during that time. Not a single homer. Not a single homer. He's got 1 double over that time. So fucking clean it up, please.
What will it look like? Ohtani's at 49 innings right now. He's already passed last year's regular season total of 47. With the playoffs, he had gotten up to about 70, right around there. There is going to be an adjustment. There's going to be walls he has hit that he hasn't hit since 23, 22, 21. Like, those are real parts of this entire conversation right now.
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
This report, not shock. I mean, in fairness, it's a little bit revisionist history because of what the player has since become. Because I remember, there's been people write articles about this all the time with when the trade deadline happens. It's like, yeah, like these, like, I'm always interested. Didn't we have like fucking Jim Bowden on here to talk about it? Like the trades that didn't happen are more interesting. But Artie Moreno nixed a deal that would have sent Junior Caminero to the Angels for Shohei Ohtani at that last deadline when, I don't remember what our conversations were at the time. I feel like most of us were like, you got to just get your haul. Like, you're the fucking Angels. Wasn't that the same deadline that they traded for like Lucas Giolito?
Yes.
And
they
then
went
like,
the exact opposite direction.
yeah, then they put him on waivers like 3 weeks later. Yeah, they bought and were like, that was dumb. Then they sold and then they couldn't trade Ohtani after that. They're a very dumb organization. And I feel bad for Max. We haven't called Max in a while because it's like that's when it's actually bad. So there hasn't been very much good to talk about to call Max. But then since losing Shohei, the Angels are so irrelevant. Even with Mike Trout, they're irrelevant to the fact where, like, I don't remember the last time he called Max. It's not because Max isn't entertaining. He's super funny. He's entertaining. I love talking ball with Max. But just like, when is the last time something happened with the Angels where we're like, we got to get the Angel perspective on this? It's just like it's almost it's national apathy, right?
Well, the start that Soriano got off to was something we could have talked about, but ultimately,
sure.
What impact is that having on the Angels season when you zoom out? None. It's not having an impact at all. It's purely an individual conversation about one player performing at an elite level out of the gate. That's how that conversation would have went, because the immediate response is, yeah, that's great, but guess what? We're not winning ball games. That's great, but guess what? We're going to finish last in the division. Fantastic. We got a guy who's just dominating on the mound. Sweet. What's that mean? Nothing. He's good. For how long? Right now? what's going to happen when he starts to come back down to earth and we still don't win ball games. Are we having that conversation? No. So that's what's tough for the Halos. We can go back to that and rehash that whole thing. We understood, and I said it. I said, I think ultimately it's an egg on the face feeling for Artie Moreno, who did not want to be the guy that traded away Shohei Ohtani just because of what that sounds like, walking around being known in the owner's room as that guy. But it would be understood if you did, because that would be a move that you needed to make to help bolster your franchise and move them forward, knowing that you had absolutely no shot to retain this dude. So at that point, you had a choice. All right, do I want to capitalize on what he's bringing to my team from a monetary perspective, meaning the sellout crowds, the merchandise sales that I'm going to be getting a part of? Is that nut bigger for me right now than thinking I'm going to trade him away? Because something that I thought about. Hold on, Jay. Hold on.
Yeah,
that I thought about is how many times they have swung and missed when they have tried to make baseball decisions that would impact this team. I was talking about it yesterday with some folks. Like, what happened when you needed pitching? What'd you go do? You went and signed Anthony Rendon. What happened when you needed offense? What'd you do? You went and drafted nothing but fucking pitchers. Right? What happened when you needed help in a time where it felt like you were going to be competitive? You went and got a group of players that immediately faltered and did not help. So around every corner, if you're Artie Moreno, it feels like I went and signed a future Hall of Famer and got about as bad of a return as I could have gotten on that future Hall of Famer. Thanks for coming, Albert Pujols. I went and signed a player who was otherworldly at the time and eventually just showed up and was like, oh, hey, I appreciate the paycheck. I hate baseball. I broke my leg. You guys fucked me. Guess what I'm doing? Never playing for you again. Kiss my ass. You know what we're going to do? Scouting department, draft nothing but pitchers. Let's see how that works out. It did not work out. So it feels like Artie, and I'm not defending him, I'm just trying to give some perspective here, was like, you know what? We've tried to make some baseball decisions. Doesn't look like any of those have worked out here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to milk this cow for every teat that it has, and then I'm going to move forward. And whatever that looks like, who knows? And he milked it. He cashed in on the sellouts. He cashed in on the merch deal, and that was that. And now Ohtani's gone, and he has to wear the fact that he's just right down the highway doing what he's doing. So that's exactly
just the
reality.
But that's exactly it. You said he wanted to avoid being the guy who traded Ohtani. Now he's the guy who didn't trade Ohtani, had him walk to the crosstown team that's relevant when you're irrelevant, and then win back-to-back, maybe back-to-back World Series while being the MVP and taking his game to an entirely different level. Like, that's who you are now. That's the kind of small-minded thinking that has plagued this organization. Rosenthal had it in his article. Playoff odds at 16.7%. Entering play on July 26th when they acquired Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez from the White Sox, when they went in the opposite direction of what they could have gone. Like, this wasn't, you might be right about all the merch and stuff. I'm not disputing any of that, but if they're the opposite of making bad baseball decisions is not inaction. It's not thinking small. It's not shutting down. It's making good baseball decisions. And they had a very, very clear gut thing. If they didn't trade Ohtani, that wasn't because of making smart baseball decisions. That was for reasons that were going to make the franchise worse off in the long run. They took a 1-in-6 chance to make the playoffs and said, we're going all in on that 1-in-6 chance. And we had no idea at the time the type of offers that they potentially were receiving for Ohtani. And to the report that Jared cited, like, I woke up and my eyes bulged out of my head when I saw that report. I was like Junior Caminero, forget Carson Williams for a second. Like, Junior Caminero was on the table at the time, and you said no for a 1-in-6 chance of making the playoffs. Not like this team was a real fucking World Series contender that, like, oh, this is a real World Series contender that got off to a slow start, but we're finding our footing right now. We're going to push forward because I believe in the momentum we have. No, this was just a fucking one-and-done postseason team that was trying to play out the string, and they cost themselves a legitimate building block moving forward. Like, the degree of fumble is far beyond what I even thought it was, and we were all over this being a fumble at the time.
That's why I look at it like this, though. That's why I look at it like Artie's saying, you know what? Baseball ops has dropped the ball. I'm tired of baseball ops dropping the ball. Here's my move. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to step in, and I'm going to keep Ohtani here because at the end of the day, I know what I can count on. I can count on X amount of revenue continuing to flow in with this dude here. And if the baseball ops team can't be trusted to make decisions that are going to put us in a better position as a franchise, then I'm going to put myself in the position that nets me the most money I can at the time. And that's what billionaires do, J.A. Billionaires secure the bag around every corner with every opportunity in front of them, do they not?
And you know what makes that so fucking incoherent, before Tyler takes over here for a second, is that he empowered his baseball ops team to then go out and get Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez, a deal that fell so flat on its face that they had to turn around and trade Lucas Giolito for a fraction of what they paid a month prior in terms of prospect cost and capital. Like that doesn't, that you would not empower them with the actual important decision and then empower them with the opposite direction that still cost you assets in the long run is incoherent thinking, even if what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I just think it goes back to the timeline too with him. You know, that previous winter, before any of these Ohtani decisions had to be made, there was a way out. There was. You did not have to do this for any period. You could have moved on from ownership. You had the team up and you were fielding different calls on who could buy that team. And you chose to take the team off the market and continue this journey. So if this was such a pivotal, such a hard pill to swallow for you at a point where just simply as a businessman understanding what it would mean to lose something like Ohtani and only get a comp pick in return, there was a way out for you. Instead, you chose to walk down that pathway. You were okay taking the risk of being the guy who fucked up Ohtani. Like, that's one of the more frustrating things to me, because the pure relief, the pure happiness you heard from Angels fans when he was talking about getting rid of the team and moving out, and, you know, all these signings, all these moves we talk about, we act like Artie Moreno hasn't overruled this front office time and time again, stepping in and making it his decisions, doing what he wants to do. You had a way out. You had an easy way out. Fans were excited. Fans were ready to move on. You chose to change the entire narrative, everything you would put out there, take the team back off. And ever since you've done that, it's been year after year of more disappointment and frustration.
No, I was just like, the Rays side of this is kind of funny too, because like they didn't exactly set the world on fire in the postseason that year. And obviously Ohtani is transformative. What?
The steps, the process of what would have happened in that month of August of, all right, we got Shohei Ohtani. This is the coolest thing in the world. Within 2 weeks, Shane McClanahan's elbow explodes. Wander Franco is arrested or, you know, indefinite leave. All this stuff happens. Imagine that sequence of events playing out for everybody.
Yeah.
And Shohei being like, what the fuck am I doing
Hey,
here?
I'm here.
Like catastrophic decision for the Angels, a blessing in disguise, almost certainly for the Rays to not have given up this, given all the reason circumstantial.
They would have retired his fucking number. They retired Wade Boggs' number. He played there for fucking 2 years, and they would have been like, Shohei Ohtani played here for half a season, but he was a Tampa Bay Ray right there.
Side note, Wander's taking BP.
Really?
What does that mean?
Yeah,
that's wild.
I mean, that just means he's taking BP. Just means that's it.
Not like with the Rays.
Can't in theory, can't anyone do that?
No, not with the Rays. Yeah, he's just swinging in the cage, posting videos of him swinging in the cage. Yep.
Yeah. We'll never see him
I
again,
can't say
obviously.
I'm a social media follower, but
yeah. No, got off that one for sure. Can you imagine though a alternate reality where Shohei Ohtani actually carries a completely injury devastated Tampa Bay Rays team to the World Series title in 2023?
World Series.
Enters free agency
there's
as
an
a
alternate
Rays
universe
champion.
where that happens. Yeah.